There we go. So we should have some audio now coming through. There we go. So we should have some audio now coming through. There we go. So we should have some audio now coming through. So now know the audio. So hello, I'm Mike. I'm a 360 degree video perspective programmer. I deal with VR, video, 3D graphics. So some of my colleagues on the MA course that I'm currently studying have asked me to show them how to create graphics. And so the best way is to kind of show people. So if at any point anybody has any questions, you know, by all means there's a live chat system, so I'll be able to go in there and see all of that sort of stuff. So do by all means type your questions in as we go along. Now I'm just going to jump off this screen because it's a bit wonky when you've got multiple things there. So let's just head to the desktop. This is have quite a busy desktop there, clicks and things and everything, and then we can get started. So, 360-degree graphics. Why get involved in them? Well, for starters, it means you don't actually need a 360-degree camera, and you can do some really interesting things. One of the things we do in journalism is we often create text-based videos. They might have a picture in the background of some great fancy marketing looking text and something animated and pretty cool. And those same skills are actually applicable to 360-degree imagery as well. You can kind of do all that stuff, just in a cool new immersive way. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And at some point we'll switch between different tabs and stuff, and I implore you to kind of go there and try these things out for yourself. So just to give you a heads up, I've downloaded some images here, so I just wanted to kind of show you how easy it really is. So the first way I'm going to show you how to create 360-degree graphics is actually a little bit of a cheat. Okay, so I'm just going to load up Photoshop in preparation. So we've got that ready to go. And as you can see, a new version of Photoshop. Now I'm not going to confuse matters because actually the new version of Photoshop has actually got a lot of cool 360-degree based VR imagery stuff as the Premiere Pro up here. And I'll show you some of the reasons why 360-degree graphics and even creating them and some of the other things that you need to know for creating 360-degree videos. I promise, it is dead simple. So this is the first time I've actually loaded up Photoshop since the new install. It takes a little while the first time you upload Photoshop to use it quicker, so I'm just going to minimise that and I'll have that running in the background once we can open that up as well. So we're going to go back onto our web browser. We're going to shut down this YouTube. So one of the first things you can actually do, and this is kind of a bit of a cheat sheet, is one of the first things I ever did was I wanted to create things. So I did some research, and Topher McCulloch's got some fantastic cheats into how to kind of upload kind of 360-degree graphics and stuff to different platforms, etc. And there's all kinds of things you can read that at your own leisure. So you literally just go to that web address that I've highlighted at the top there. So by all means, pause the video at this point. If you're watching this back and you're not watching it live, go to that thing there. But there's another way we can kind of do this. So let's search Google, and we can go 360-degree photo spheres templates with metadata. I'm going to do this on an image search, and you'll see this thing here. this really psychedelic kind of image. So we're just going to click on that, and it looks pretty small. Yeah, and so actually, you know, this is the quickest way to create graphics, but you can literally download this image. So you save image. I'm just going to put that in my downloads there. Now, you've probably already seen that I do have this on my desktop already. So once you go ahead and download that, and so now, as you can see, we have it on our desktop anyway. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open this in Photoshop. So I'm just going to drag and drop it. Yeah, click on OK. Ta-da! And we've got this really psychedelic image. So the next thing I'm going to do is, because we want to put text and other kinds of things in, is I'm just going to take a plain white square of paint that we've just downloaded off the internet from anywhere. Just type in white square, and we're just going to spread it and place it there. Perfect. Great. So now we have an image. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use Photoshop's text tool, and we're not going to create anything particularly fancy. It's just to initially give you some idea of what we are doing here. So we're just going to type in some random text. Hello everyone, hope you like the live stream. So you might see it's a little bit hard to see there, but we're going to raise this up another level in terms of font size. So we're going to go maybe 114. Okay, we can go even higher. So let's say 160. Yeah, even higher, 172. Ta-da! So we got it there, and we're going to make that like bold, and we can drag this out a bit. Yeah, we might actually want to change the font on this because the font's not looking great. So let's see what cool fonts we have here. Still too dark. Let's get something nice and thick. There we go. So that's pretty easy enough to see. We'll center all the text in that box, and then we'll move it to the center of the image. Okay, so far we've got a template in the background. So let's just shut that off for a minute. So we've got that template, we've put a white box over the top of it, and we put some text in. So the next thing we're going to do is just save as, and we're going to call it we're going to save it as a JPEG, the all important JPEG. We're going to put random 360 degree test. We want to put that to about 12, maximize it. Okay, and so now we've saved this to our desktop. So we have it here, or shall I say here, in the bottom left corner. So if I now try and open that, I can actually open this in Windows 10. And there you go. So that's our image that we've created so far. Right? So how do you know if it's 360 degrees? Well, the best way to test it is, let's go back to our browser and go to Facebook. So all I'm going to do is take this, drag this into Facebook, and see Facebook has already recognized that this is actually a 360 degree image. So I'm just going to make this private. I always feel the best way to test your photos is to make them private first, make sure they work, and then post them afterwards. So as you can see on the browser, we can actually move around this. I'm just going to load up a bigger version of this. So as I move my mouse, it's there. Great, isn't it? And we can move all the way around. We can zoom in, zoom out, and we'll see our text there. So let's try. So, like I say, that is essentially how to create those kind of graphics using that 20-second cheat. Really, it really isn't that difficult to do it once you know the kind of, I guess you could call it like a hack for it. So yeah, but one thing you can do, and kind of the preferred way I would suggest of doing things is like, we'll leave this open and we'll do a new one. Actually, we'll come back to that in a second. So what I actually want to show you is, I'm just going to shut these down. Again, go back to earlier in the live stream, pause the video, and you'll be able to do. You'll be able to find that web address. So, Facebook actually has a 360-degree group, and all of this covers the really boring, complicated stuff, like injecting metadata, XMPs, blah blah blah. Now, this is great if you're kind of nerdy with all of that stuff, but it's also really long-winded. Trust me, I've read through all of this, believe it or not, and to be honest, I didn't actually find a lot of it helpful, other than one particular thing, which if we scroll back up the page, let me just find this for you. Facebook has Photoshop templates, a repository on Dropbox that you can actually go into. So you can go onto this page here, scroll all the way down to Photoshop templates, and you'll see the hyperlink that I've highlighted in blank there. That'll take you to Dropbox, and that'll give you access to a load of different Facebook things. So I already have it open here, but just to show you that that link works, I'm going to click on it. And presto, we're in Dropbox. And you don't actually need a Dropbox account to access this. So you've got 4 folders here, which have various different things. So you've got 360-degree equirectangular grids for artists. You've got calculations, templates, maxeries. I would suggest that you go in there and have a nosy round, see all the different file templates and stuff within there. We've got templates at 6,000 pixels, and actually that's kind of more likely where you're going to grab a lot of your templates from. And again, we can go in here. Now, if you're creating something a bit more artistic, you can access these equirectangular guides. There's also a workspace as well, which gives you some idea of where left, right, front and back are when you're editing an image, and that can be quite useful if you're creating digital art within 360 degrees. But for the sake of what we're doing in terms of graphics, we're not going too artistic with that. You know, essentially we can use our own kind of judgment for it. So, what template do you want to download? Again, you've got calculations here, and this actually gives you access to an Excel spreadsheet. It gives you cylindrical panorama calculations, but fundamentally we want the main one, which is 6,000 pixels, and you're going to want this one here. So I've highlighted blue there just so you can see it. So when we click on it, it shows that it's 6,000 by 3,000 pixels, and it actually gives you some instructions here. So to use this template, paste in your picture, size to fit entire canvas, save as JPEG, don't use export or save for web, minimize what you do here, edit in another Photoshop file, blah 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 blah. So that is essentially what we're going to do in a moment, and that's kind of what we've done already. Although we kind of cheated with the 20-second approach to it, where we just downloaded a psychedelic template and it was there. So you can literally just click up here, direct download, and it'll download to your desktop. Here's one I made earlier. Ta-da! There was a good reason for us not shutting down Photoshop. And again, we can use some plain colours. So last time we used white. So how about we get a block of black colour? We're just going to download a simple block of black colour to the desktop. There we go. And there it is. It's hard to see. I'll put it over the text so you can see it. There you go. A block of black colour there. And again, we just drag that into Photoshop. Recognises it as a smart object, and now we've got a 360-degree sphere of black. And again, we can go into here. Let's change the colour to white. Hey, you guys and gals, hope you are enjoying the stream. And there we have it, and we simply just go to File, Save As, JPEG, and we're going to just call this Test 2. Again, maximum. And so there we have it. We have Test 2 on our screen. So we're simply going to go back to Facebook, where we can post the status. We're going to grab that image, drag and drop on there, as you would. Now surprisingly, Facebook hasn't recognised that as a 360-degree image. Now occasionally when you use the Facebook templates, that does happen. Okay. So don't worry about it too much. Stick with the tried and tested method. If you do have any issues with that, where it doesn't recognise that it's a 360-degree image, we can simply inject metadata into it. So, how do you inject metadata? You simply go to YouTube, metadata tool. So you simply search for it on Google, and it'll give you an option to download a little bit of software. And you can do this using Python, etc. Now I already actually have the spatial metadata injector installed on my desktop. So all I'm going to do is find the file on my desktop, which is test2. metadata tool's not working, so that's fine. We can do this another way. If we've got view, it's actually a new tool in this where we can actually look at this in 360. Now this just highlights some of the issues that you will have from this from time to time, which is why I kind of go for the, how can I put it? I go for the easy way. Let's just ignore that for a minute, because if that doesn't pick it up, we can stick this back in and we can pull that down to the bottom. Like so. And at least we know the metadata is in that one. I would certainly recommend that you have a play around with metadata injectors. So I'm going to call this test2 again, so we know it works. I'm going to overwrite the original. So again, this is why it's always good to test on Facebook on private before publishing. And see, now it's picked it up that it's a 360-degree video, and it's purely because it didn't recognise the metadata. So if we post that, and again, it's there. Simple. Test it on your mobile device. You'll see it there. So we've done 2 tests, and the reason for this is just to kind of get you familiar with how you can create 360-degree graphics even on the simplest forms. But let's say you want to create kind of, I don't know, something a bit more visual, you know, with some other bits and pieces in it like logos, graphics, etc. So we're not going to save change that. Let's shut that one down. So we're simply going to load up our initial image back into Facebook again, our psychedelic one. We're going to take, let's just for irony's sake, we're going to take a picture of the sky that I've downloaded already. So this will now wrap around in 360. We're going to place that there, and then we could potentially take the sky logo, copy and paste it into the middle. And so we've got a sky logo floating in the sky. I know the humour. Again, save to the desktop, save as a JPEG, it's there. And so we have that there. Again, as long as the metadata is recognised, we should be able to open with Photos. Windows 10 doesn't always recognise when something. It recognises 360 videos, not so much photos. Again, we can choose it by going onto Facebook. It takes a little while to load. Yeah, I'm now going to post that. I'm going to make it large. And look, it's the Sky logo in the sky. So you will have to be careful with regards to stitching. Sometimes it's off. So, you know, if you are using stock images, obviously try and use things that have a kind of infinite space to them. So flat colours work relatively well for that kind of stuff. So that's some idea of how to create 360 graphics. Now, it's not terribly, you know, great in terms of what we've done, because we are essentially, it is about getting used to the basics. But to give you an example of one that I recently created, let's shut this down. Let me see if I can find that in my many files. So one I recently created was for Birmingham East Side. We created a 360 degree logo for EGX. Nice technology, there we go. So we created a simple 360 degree logo for Birmingham East Side. As you can see, it's got Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all our details there. And if we zoom out, we get better things. Now again, this seems like a very, initially it seems like it would be very complicated to produce, but actually, given the tools and the tips that I've just shown you, actually, you know, it's not as difficult as you might think. It really isn't. You can literally go and do it the way that I've shown you already. So, you know, you can simply come in here, open that initial template with the metadata, you know, put some white in the background. And then we can put the Birmingham East Side logo in the centre. You know, we've got to make sure it looks good. So one area it might get tricky, and I just want to highlight this, is this edge and this edge are going to wrap together. But what if you want to put a logo that covers the stitching? And that's where it can get tricky. So let's use our Sky logo that we have here. So let's say I want the Sky logo to be behind the Birmingham East Side logo, which can be, so basically if I turn the camera around when I'm looking at it, I want to be able to see Birmingham East Side at the front and the Sky logo at the back. Well, obviously that's going to be quite a tricky thing to do, because we've only got so much space, and while we can see the centre of the image, we can't see the back of the image. So, pro tip is you're going to kind of want to half and half it, and you'll have to use your kind of best judgment for this. So if we were to place that there, which we can do, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring logo into it again. hold on a second, let's bring that logo back a sec, because the easiest way to do this would be to match the image size. So we kind of want to make sure that we get the image to the right size as the previous one, and we're going to place that there. So now we've got the image same size, so we're going to half and half this. So I'm going to put the start of the K there. I'm going to put the sky there. Now we can see that it's kind of going along the same line. Okay, so this is a lot slightly more complicated than Advance, but we've done it. So you're kind of looking at this going, well, why does sky start and why is it kind of split in half? And I'll show you why. Because when we save this, we're just going to call this BE Sky Logo Test. We're going to save this as JPEG again. We're going to save it to the desktop. Put it maximum quality. There we go. So we've got it here. And again, we look at this as normal in Windows Viewer. And yeah, it looks kind of weird. But actually, when we go and put this onto Facebook, yeah, ignore that. So let's go back to my Facebook where we can test this out. So we're just going to take that, drag and drop it onto Facebook. Again, as long as you've got this little thing here, you know it's a 360-degree image. It takes a little bit of a while for it to upload to Facebook. So now I'm going to post this and I'm going to show you what happens and why we split that sky logo. Because if we zoom out, so like I say, Birmingham Eastside will be at the front, and sky more or less looks like one image. We were slightly off in height, but for the sake of test, this is why I say you have to kind of check your dimensions. So if someone was watching this on a VR device or the mobile phone, the first thing you're going to see is Birmingham Eastside, and then if they turn around, they will see the sky logo as well. That's a little bit of a Frankenstein cut, that one. But, you know, it's designed to kind of show you the principle of that. So, you know, you can create all these kind of cool things initially. I'm not even going to delete this. I'm going to just paste over it with some cool space stuff. I'm going to delete the sky logos in a sec. Let's do something fun. So change that all to yellow. Make that a little bit bigger. So just while I test this thing here, feel free to put any kind of comments or any things that you want to know specifically in the live chat. I will be able to see it and try and respond. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, you'll know that Photoshop has kind of really cool text tools and stuff, and you can kind of make things go 3D. So let's just see if we can go 3D. You can do all sorts there. So what basically I want to distort this text. So we're going to try and make this look like it's coming out of the screen, which when we do will be kind of cool. If we can get it to work. That's the problem sometimes with Photoshop. So we can skew it that way. Yes, I wonder. Apologies, I'm going a bit quiet because it can be. You got to kind of concentrate sometimes when you do these things. I wonder if we can get that same effect going. There we go. We'll leave it at that for now, because there's other things that we can do with that. But the general consensus is, I'd say, is once you master this, play around with it, get it to work for what you want. And so this is really it in terms of graphics and developing stuff for that. And again, you know, much like a social video, you can put photos in there. You know, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Again, we can test this, make sure this image works. You know, again, we can see it does. You know, and you can rotate that text, you can put it in a 3D plane. You know, and again, depending on the image you use for your background image, I mean, this doesn't actually look all that too bad. But think about how you want to frame stuff in terms of, you know, what kind of content you want to build in terms of graphics and stuff. So, I mean, use this as a kind of guideline, but just bear in mind that if I can just make a box, that this is the kind of working space that you've got for putting images and things in. So if there was some kind of photographs that you had, let me see if we've got what we've got on our random pictures files. Probably simple data. So if you wanted to have several pictures that were viewable and kind of make like a collage thing, you absolutely can do that. Place them in. Let's put the YouTube logo in there, because why not? And again, you can customize all these kinds of things, what you want to put in there, text, etc. We've got some. Actually, this is an interesting one. This is the actual EGX logo I made for Eastside. Yeah, let's not put that one in because that's a 360. Yeah, we can put some Instagram logo in there. Let me put that at the bottom. So in the context of what we do in terms of journalism and kind of capturing photographs and stuff, you can pretty much put whatever we want in there, but obviously just bear in mind that you've only got a finite amount of working space. So you will have to think about kind of what you want to put in to the photo that you're going to be creating. Let's just put these silly images in. There we go. Believe it or not, I do have a sense of humour. Let's just think this was one from my sister's wedding. So again, we've put all that kind of stuff in there. I've made that middle one rough. Again, if you wanted to put multiple images in there and had text for your social story, so put something along the lines of, "Hey, this is my life." Yeah, I know, not very imaginative, but it is kind of late in the day. So let's make that nice and pink so it stands out. And of course, I would be missing a letter in there. So again, if you were thinking about this from a data journalism perspective, or even just from a story element, you could have a 360-degree image that you've captured, and then you could actually put things in like graphs. You could put in data, you could put in Google Maps and stuff. Again, depends on how you utilize the working space that you've got, but always kind of try and leave an outlining border if you're from the background image you're working with, because if not, you'll end up finding that you'll have issues with stitching, etc. So just random collage, we're going to call this. Again, we've saved that to the desktop. Post this up on Facebook. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we should be able to post that. And again, posted it, and you can see that it will kind of circulate at the bottom, which is why I say you have to kind of think about how you're going to do these, and do you kind of want to have a gap or a workspace to kind of separate, you know, the back and the front, etc. So play around with it, get familiar with it. Now, one cool thing that you can do, so I'm going to show you a couple of things. So first and foremost, WordPress actually supports 360-degree images. So this is my personal website, and we're just going to add a new post, and we're going to post just a test post. So I'm actually using WordPress.org. I've added in some additional kind of plugins that support 360-degree and VR content, so that we can actually put them in natively. So I can upload some of the files that we've just been messing around with. So let's just say we put both those, we upload those to my site. So we'll insert that one, and you'll see you've got a HTML kind of thing there, coding, and we're going to insert that one. And again, we can preview the post, so that when we go to have a look at the post, we'll now see both those images are available in there. Now they're small in terms of it, but you can actually maximize it to full screen, and those work quite nicely in a WordPress post. So if you've got your WordPress.org website, you know, make sure you have those plugins added into there, and you can put in your own kind of 360-degree media. Now the other good thing as well is if you're creating a range of graphics, you can also build them into video. So it might take a minute or two for Adobe Premiere to load, because Adobe has just been updated. So yeah, as you can see, we're now on 2018. So just while that loads, and I can show you some of the things that you can do with 360-degree graphics as well, and the things that you can kind of turn them into. It's worth pointing out that Adobe just did the full update for all its apps. So actually, if you have an Oculus Rift or a HTC Vive VR headset plugged into your laptop, you can actually edit VR video while wearing a VR headset. Now that sounds like why on earth would you do that? Or you're probably sat there thinking, yeah, that's cool, but I'm still not sure why. Well, part of the thing with 360-degree video editing and VR video is it can be really kind of awkward, because you're working, traditionally you'd be working on the basis of like a 2D image, but you kind of have to change your perception into working in a 3D space. And actually being able to, you know, kind of do that with a VR headset makes things a lot more easier for you in terms of your perception. So we're just going to come into Adobe Premiere Pro, and like I say, it's running a bit slow because it's a brand new system that they've set up. So, for anyone that's familiar with Premiere Pro, you've got all your kind of essential graphics here, import your media, you've got your time bar, you've got your thing here. What we can actually do is you can pretty much just go and drag the images we've created into Pro. Let's just extend that. Where's the space one? Star Wars. There we go. And obviously, it works much like a regular video. It works kind of like you can put all these things in. We've even got new VR immersive video transitions. So let's just stick that in the middle there. So let's just play the video. Yeah, I might have extended this for a bit too long. Let's zoom in a bit. Let's delete that, make this shorter. I only kind of want to make a 10-second video just to kind of highlight things. So yeah, we can do some nice transitions. Now, I don't know if you spotted that, that's really quick. But we've got these kind of, like I said, these cool VR transitions. And everything just blurred away into a light there. Or we can do kind of other VR transitions. So this is actually kind of new. Before we'd have to, before we could just use normal transitions, and actually we can still effectively do that. So if we can toggle this on, it doesn't always work for some reason. So this button here that I'm rapidly tapping on, so that is a button which will allow you to view the image, the videos in 360 degrees. Now I'm not sure why my computer doesn't like to seem to do it for some reason, but that's okay. You don't really need to know for this purpose, because it's more than likely that it will work for yours without any problems whatsoever. Okay, so you take your 360 degree graphics tiles that you've done, so be it like Test 2, Star Wars, and you want to create kind of like a social video kind of thing. So once you've built in the same way that you would build any kind of normal video in Adobe Premiere, you simply want to go to Export and go to Media, and you've obviously got other options like Final Cut Pro, etc. So we want to export this in the standard format, which is I believe it's H.264, and match the highest bitrate. We've got options here for VR monoscopic, VR over under. Now you only tend to use those if you're just dealing with audio as such. So we're not even going to worry about that. We're just literally going to go to YouTube 4K, and when we go down to here, we'll see all these options here, and we want to click VR is video, video is VR. And we're dealing with monoscopic, not stereoscopic, because you only deal with stereoscopic if you're dealing with 3D. So if you recorded footage in 3D, you'll be able to use stereoscopic, and you can put 3D images in there, etc. So again, we're going to just output this to the desktop, export. So just a word of warning, not everybody's computer will run and export this fast, but you know, it may take long for some people, I don't know. And so there you have it. So we have this, and this actually plays in Windows 10, and look, we've created just a simple 360 degree video from graphics. So if you think about this from a social video perspective, that makes life so much easier. Yeah, and really it's just down to what your imagination can make, really. So, you know, it's there. It's all within this video and within your grasp. And so once you sort of start to get the hang of all of this, you can really kind of go to town in terms of your creativity. Like I said, for the purpose of this video, we haven't gone in depth with 3D graphics. We haven't particularly gone too in depth of creating really professional grade quality, because the aim of this is really to get you thinking about the stuff that you want to create and to kind of experiment with it first, and then we can kind of start talking about the next level with those sorts of things and what you can achieve. And part and parcel of that will also be, you know, developing a better understanding of the Adobe tools that are currently available as of yesterday. So it will take us some of us a while to figure that out before we can pass that knowledge and that workflow on to yourselves. But yeah, that's simply it. So I'm going to essentially leave the stream running for about 5-10 minutes, which gives you an opportunity to kind of ask any questions. If there's anything you kind of want me to go over again, if it's pretty straightforward, you know, I'll be more than happy to go through that. So yeah, you know, just by all means feel free to ask me anything while we're on the live stream. And like I said, I'll give it about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll call it the stream quits for the night. top?
Don't know. Is it?
Yes, great.
Good. This seems like a good time for a drink and a cold, calculated speech with sinister overtones. A speech about politics, about order, brotherhood, power. But speeches are for campaigning, Now is the time for action.
I'll tell you my darkest and whimsical story. Don't ever call me a typical 40. I answer to nobody, breaker authority. Smartest of all, sick of my wording. Cause when I was born, that burger transforming me into a genius. I want to.
So yeah, I'm quite happy to take any questions. So yeah, fire away. I've got the live chat open. It's all good.
Citadel's problem is the Ricks and Mortys feeding on the Citadel's death. But I've got a message for them. From the Ricks and Mortys keeping it alive. A message from the Ricks and Mortys that believe in this Citadel to the Ricks and Mortys that don't. You're outnumbered. Made my way to the Citadel to prepare to erase that day when I sit up there. Campaign for a change, though, win a fair. I persuade the state, but I didn't care. Defamed by the fake news as a joke. Circling Rick, don't know how I go for the nose when I'm pouring in boast. The more I coast, and my manager can't cut short. Tried assassinating my ass. Cast him out to space with the trash. Then the shadow counter collapse. I eradicated this clash. Now I'll face all the loose ends. Cause the change is soon to begin. No more slaves of Rick perception. Liberate the Mortys and win. To you, what can happen if you call me yellow shirt? Pulling in these Rick upset about the work. Cause they never cared, remember how we let them hurt. Anyone opposing me is perilous and cursed. No more partners in curriculum. Talk dirt like in the slums of Morty Town. For Rick slugs like Gino. See what I become. No, it's not Rookie Morty. It's the Rickus Morty. Hiding in the Rickus Morty's never Rick and Morty. No, it's not Rookie Morty. It's the Rickus Morty. Hiding in the Rickus Morty's. It's evil Morty. No, it's not Rookie Morty. It's the Rickus Morty. Hiding in the Rickus Morty's never Rick and Morty. No, it's not Rookie Morty. It's the Rickus Morty. Hiding in the Rickus Morty's. It's evil Morty.
Lay it down, let me see your hand. Show me what you got. You're always talking, but you're not playing. It doesn't match your face. Cause I'm away from this place. Can you take me now? I want it real. Are you afraid of me now? Are you afraid of me now? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel that I can see your soul? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel the beat in your heart? I want it real. Run away with me now. I Begin in the summer, I'm good at running. I bet you in the race again. Are you afraid? But I looked away. It's easy as to stay at home. But then we tasted, we gotta have it. We have no control. Where is the love, the kind we dream of, the kind that makes us young, the kind that makes us young.
This season, Unibet holds a preseason partner for Aston Villa.
Okay, so again we've got that recognised, and that's a 360-degree video. And it will send us a notification shortly to tell me when the video is done.
Are you totally ready?
So we should get a notification shortly.
What do you say, Rick? I say, let's do it! Alright! Here we go!
See, so we can see how it's processing.
Alright! Drop the beat! Go to the club! Here we go! Say it with me! Head bent over. Raise the posterior. Head bent over. Yeah, raise the posterior. Sing it with me now. Head bent over. Yeah, raise the posterior. Alright. Head bent over. Raise the posterior.
You are not like other carbon-based life forms. You put the value of all life above your own.
It's how things should be. It's how they could be.
together, cosmos without hatred, stars like diamonds in your eyes. The ground can be space, 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 space. With feet
It's taking a while to process.
peaceful sky. All the moon men want things
There
that
we go.
way.
So yeah, it takes a while for it to process, but now we can see. It knows we're in full HD. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So, you know, this gives you some idea of what you can do with 360 degree graphics without needing any kind of camera or anything like that. Obviously, if you want me to go more in depth to it about how you can implement things like Google Maps, visualizations and stuff on the 3D side of it, then obviously do let me know. If you're watching this live stream back, I hope you found it useful. And again, you know, by all means, feel free to film any questions, be that on Twitter. In fact, that's a good point, because we're recording on desktop, I could just show you Twitter.
Shut the f*** up about Moon Men!
So yeah, some of the places you can find me, if you have any questions or you want to see me do a more advanced live stream, is you can find me on my website at mikesjourno.com. There is an option to click on the contacts form and drop me an email. All my social details are there for LinkedIn, for Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. My Instagram obviously is Mike's Journo, and you can see some of the experiments that I've done where I've taken 360 degree photos and turned them into kind of art and all sorts of things like that, and some of the mojo practices that I deal with. You can obviously, you know, follow me on Twitter at Mike_Dante0. This is my Twitter feed. So by all means, you know, follow me and yeah, drop me a direct message if you have any questions. And of course on Facebook, where you can find me on at Mike's Journo, facebook.com at Mike's Journo as well. And here you'll find where I tend to experiment with a lot of 360 degree footage as well. So these are all the places that you can find me, you know, to get in touch, ask me any questions about this. And obviously, if there's enough demand, I will do another graphics live stream, but dealing more specifically with the 3D perspective in terms of how do you warp text, make it look like it's coming at the screen towards you, and you know, the kind of Google Maps stuff, and how you can put like 3D data visualizations in there and stuff. But obviously, you know, that depends on the demand for those. If you did tune in on one of your mobile devices or tablets, which YouTube doesn't always track, thank you for watching. If you're watching this back after the live stream's ended, thank you for watching, and by all means do get in touch. Till next time, take care.